rocking out to our new intro there, courtesy of Mr. John Rustino. I am Charlie Turner, along with John Rustino and Chris DiCarlo. This is the Falls Count Anywhere podcast here on October 15th of 2022. Gentlemen, we're going to be talking some wrestling today, and we might learn a few things about how to do this podcast thing. We're still kind of new at it. We're coming up on 1 year, and we got the perfect guest to talk some wrestling, talk some podcasts, and some of the legendary guests that we've both been able to share on each of our shows and to be able to talk to. He is our guest today. He is the host of the Bumps and Thumps podcast, which can be heard all over where any podcast can be heard, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. And he is our guest today. He is Mr. Brian Ferguson. Brian, thank you so much for joining us on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast. How's it going, man?
Good. Gentlemen, thank you for having me on. It's my pleasure. I love this show. When you reached out to me, I had watched a little bit before, and I love the intro, by the way. It's awesome. And,
thanks, man. Yeah.
I was honored to come on here. This is the first time for me being the guest. I'm usually the one that asks the questions, so I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, I'm nervous every week we do this, man. I'm thinking in the back of my head, don't screw this up, you know.
Yeah.
But Brian, man, it's awesome to have you on. We're definitely going to talk some wrestling. As we were talking pre-show, man, we were talking about your background there because you know you got that wrestling setup there, and it's pretty awesome. And I noticed the Hulkster kind of standing out. But then we talked about the two belts there, and I wanted you to be able to talk about the belt that was custom made for you. If you can give us the background on that.
So this belt over here, if you're watching, is a belt. I was in the Army for 26 years. I retired in 2015. I was a military police officer. And my last assignment was at Sacramento State in California there at Sacramento. And when I got ready to retire, they had a nice ceremony for me and everything. And the students of the ROTC class presented me with this belt here. And it has, I don't know if you can see it very well. You probably can't, but it has my rank on there in the middle. And I was a captain. I was enlisted for the first 15 years of my career. So then the last 10, I was an officer. The years I was in, 1989 to 2015. And then on each side, it has placards of the jump wings, airborne wings, drill sergeant badge, and the military police insignia. So it's very original and very significant, important to me because those kids didn't have to do that, and they did it. I guess because they thought I was a good person. So
that's very awesome, man. And you know, I think I speak for all of us when I say we thank you for your service, man. That's
appreciate it.
That's very commendable, man.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. I got a retired good friend down there in near Greenville, South Carolina. Shout out to Mr. Tim Smith. Big Mid-Atlantic and wrestling fan, been friends for a few years now. And I thank him and our other friends too as well on holidays and 9/11 day and everything. So definitely thank you.
Tim Smith. Yeah, absolutely. And Tim Smith's kind of like a silent partner, if you will. We providing some DVDs to the collection that Chris brings forth to the show here as well.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Brian,
go ahead, Chris.
I've been trading with a couple people and here and there, you know, building up the collection. It just keeps getting bigger and better. And like I told Brian too, been a fan since 1980, and too bad I didn't have a VCR or a Betamax from 80 to 86. We'd be really golden, but I remember it watching it, right, John? Maple Leaf Wrestling across the border there and everything.
Yeah, definitely, I'll never forget it.
Classic wrestling is just great. Like Brian, it's my life. I eat, sleep, and breathe classic wrestling. And I text these guys too at night, 10, 11 o'clock our time. They go get a text, a classic picture from me,
getting some wrestling random wrestling.
He's a lunatic, the historian.
Brian, we've shared a lot of the same guests on our podcast. We were talking about a lot of the guys that are part of the AWA, Mick Karch and Christopher Tubbs and George Shire. How long have you been doing your podcast? And as far as like your guests, like who have you, some of your interviews that kind of stand out for you?
Sure. So I started in August of 2020. And the only reason why I started is that, it's the height of the pandemic. And At the time, I was working for the Kansas City Royals. I see your hat there. That's kind of a rival there.
Yeah,
New
right.
York. But
Yeah.
Go
I
Yankees,
was
by
working
the
there
way.
then, and at that time we were pretty much shut down, and so I had to find something to do. I was getting antsy, so I started researching some podcasts, how to do it, and all that stuff. So I went out and bought a lot of this stuff you see behind me. I told you the story we had earlier, where I had all this stuff before, thought I was too old to have it, got rid of it, and then I just went and bought it back, some more of it. But anyways, started that, and then my first in August of 2020, my first guest was Greg Gagne.
Wow.
Greg Gagne, and this is a story because I just emailed him. I found his email on LinkedIn and emailed him, and I thought, okay, he'll probably not even read it, or he'll take a few days, whatever. He responded like in 10 minutes. And so we scheduled it. I went out, I bought a mic, this mic here, for, I don't know, $30, and the headphones, and I had everything else. So I just started. I went on some software that we had, and did it. And then it went over good. I do it, and then I had Jim Brunzell on Jumpin' Jim. I've had him on twice now. I just had him.
Great guy. Yeah, we had a chance to talk to him as well.
Yeah,
Great
he's
guy.
a great guy. In fact, he'll be. You're dropping this later today. Mine will drop with him in about another week. I try to do it for me weekly, because sometimes you get in a dry spell where you can't find somebody. That's at least my case.
Mhm.
So I try to plan it out weekly so I don't have a dry spell. So
I try to do that monthly so that the weeks are covered.
yeah. So I did that. I've been doing it now solid for about a year and a half. Before, it was just kind of like a hit and miss thing. I'd do it for a while, then I'd get busy. When I fully retired, I retired from the Royals in 2021. Left there, and I'm fully retired now, and this is what I do, and I love it. I watch it on YouTube, or Chris and I exchange a little bit, some DVDs, and I've got on some guests I've had. You mentioned George Shire, you mentioned Mick Karch, Chris Tubbs. I've had Barry Darsow on my show, Ken Patera, Colonel De Beers.
Oh,
Earthquake Ferris.
I just saw that.
Yeah,
Oh,
Earthquake. Cool. And I've had other people that are just. I've had Bill Apter. I've had Craig Peters, the magazine guys. I've had photographers. I've had writers.
Okay.
I've had Brian Solomon, Keith, Elliot Greenberg. I try to diversify too, because to me, it's not, if you don't have the magazines back in the day, especially in the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
wrestling wouldn't have been where it was at and where it is now without those guys contributing.
Have you checked out any of and it just started, that Tales from the Territories that just started on Vice there, and man, I feel like it almost feels like as they're talking, it's like, yeah, we talked about that stuff. We had the Killer Bees on it, separately, but we had them on and we've talked about this stuff. George Shire. Have you checked that out? And what are your impressions of that show so far?
I like it. I'm glad they're doing it. I think it's long overdue. For me, I watched the first one, the Memphis. I haven't had a chance to watch the second one yet. But the Memphis one, and it's funny because just 2 weeks before that, I had met Jerry Lawler, Jimmy Hart, and Jeff Jarrett, and Jerry Jarrett at Cauliflower Alley Club reunion.
Oh, very cool.
In Las Vegas. So that was kind of like, oh, wow, I just met these guys 2 weeks before. But great stories, and I'm looking forward to seeing the one with the AWA going to be dropping, I think, this next episode. So
yeah, it's I like it. I really like it. Of course, I'm an old school guy, but I do like it. So hopefully, John, you got to check that out. John is our longtime friend, but John is a producer and helps us out here, Brian. So you guys can relate a little.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of questions about the Royals, but that'll be for another time. I might have to have you on the sports show because that's
Yeah.
got to be some interesting stuff.
Have him on the sports show.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in the Royals, I was the security manager for the stadium, so so I did that for about almost 4 years. And
That's got to be incredible, to tell you the truth. I can only imagine. You must have. We'll talk about another time.
Yeah. No,
And a big football game tomorrow in Missouri there.
yeah. Actually, I'm not a Chiefs fan, so.
Okay. This is the Bills show, except for John. He's a Bears fan.
Well, I'm a Packers guy, so I was born and raised in Wisconsin. Yeah, born and raised in Wisconsin. I live in Missouri.
I can't say nothing.
Yeah. So, yeah, but like I said, with wrestling, I just that new show it's great. I don't know if you can see in the back here. It's kind of dark. I apologize, but
Oh no, good.
There's a row of figures up here. It's got Freebirds in the middle, Long Riders on the your left, my right, and then the Road Warriors, and then I got a bunch of magazines on the bottom. Excuse me.
Classic AWA Remco.
Yeah, exactly. And they're a lot cheaper when they're not packaged. I'll tell you that.
And we also
same goes for the LJNs too.
I tried reaching out to Mr. Steve Rothenthal there to come on the show. He said he would.
Yeah.
But I guess he's busy for a year, I was told. But shout out to them and Power Pro Wrestling, is it? Or Powerhouse?
Power Town Wrestling.
Wrestling. And their first series came out, and man, those figures are awesome.
I ordered some. So I ordered the whole set. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, let me ask you this. As far as current wrestling, do you still watch the current product with WWE, AEW, NWA?
I watch some of it. I'll be honest. I watch some of SmackDown and Raw a little bit. I'll be honest, guys. It kind of gets where they talk for 20 minutes and then they have a 5-minute match. Then they talk for another 20 minutes, have a 5-minute match. And I like to see the action, I guess, because I'm older. I grew up in the 80s, with, you talk for 2 minutes and you went in the ring and kicked somebody's hind end.
Right.
And then it was the next match, And I'm not knocking the product. I mean, they're making money or they wouldn't be doing it. But to me, I watch about an hour of it. 3 hours for Raw is a long time to watch.
Very, yeah.
So I watch maybe an hour and a half. And I usually don't watch the first half because it's usually they're talking for the first 20, 30 minutes. So I do catch it when I can. But I'll be honest, I'm kind of probably like Chris and the rest of you. I don't know. I get on YouTube, or if I have DVDs, I watch the old stuff. My favorite promotion from back in the day is the AWA, if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah,
and that's just because I grew up in Wisconsin, so Minnesota. I was right on the border there. I lived in a town called Rice Lake, Wisconsin, born and raised there. So Minneapolis, St. Paul is only about 2 hours from where we lived. And so I would
Civic Center.
Yeah, so I would get the Minneapolis TV stations and watch AWA every Sunday morning before I went to church. And then, my mom and dad, I'll be honest, they did not like me watching it. They thought it was,
a little violent, too violent.
Well, fake and violent. And so, but I'd go to my grandma's house a lot and she would let me watch it. So I did that. Grandma, they carry us. So
absolutely.
And then they would come to my town every year to do a show at the Catholic school there. They would, set up a fundraiser for the school or whatever. And so we'd have some guys come in, like Bockwinkel. 1 year was the Road Warriors were there. And just the who's who sometimes would come in there, and it was great. And, I miss that part of it. But, there's 2 or 3 generations now that they this is the product now, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
that's
yeah,
Well,
I will say with the current, I was going to say real quick, I'll say with the current product, I do think Triple H has made some improvements because you're right. The
Yeah.
3-hour Raw was like sitting through paint drying at some point. There's a lot of fillers, a lot of talking.
Yes.
But I will give Triple H some credit. He's only
Yeah.
about a month or so, or 2 months into the
Yeah.
takeover from Vince, and he's done some good things. So I'm willing to give
Yes.
him a chance to keep it
Yeah.
going because it's been pretty exciting lately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they cut a lot of guys back in when the pandemic. They cut a lot of guys that they probably shouldn't have cut.
Yeah,
But
Bray Wyatt.
yeah, Bray Wyatt, Brahm's back now, but some guys you thought, why are they getting rid of? But I mean, it's a business decision, and hopefully Triple H will get it back to where it needs to be. So
yeah, exactly. I hope they do the same for the WWE network, right, Brian? We want more old school content. Like it
Yes.
started, the network started great. They were
Mhm.
updating it once a week with world class shows
Mhm.
and everything. And then now it's, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's on Peacock, and that's the problem is they have control of all the content.
They
And
edit it, yeah.
they
And
edit it a lot.
but still, the network is only putting out like 10 classic shows a month. I mean, what the heck is that? That's not what it was about. And so I constantly send them a message and on their Facebook and say, hey, where's this card? Where's this card? Where's the TV shows? Where's
And they probably got a warehouse full of stuff that they can just throw, DVDs and tapes.
training order.
talk about a pro wrestling job, right? I mean, we love what we do here and we got the opportunity to, and we're thankful for it. But can you imagine working like at the WWE and your job is just to transfer that footage? I'd be in heaven, right?
Oh gosh, I would. Yeah, I feel like I'd gone to heaven and leave it as is. And they do edit it, unfortunately, at Peacock. And a lot of the stuff that Chris and you guys were just talking about was that like Super Clash 1 is not on the network or on Peacock, right?
Without the WWE symbol, that's what I'm looking for.
Right. So things like that or other classic. Even like Mid-Atlantic, that's what I sent you is all these Mid-Atlantic shows that they have the TV stuff, but they don't have like the arena stuff, and it's a missing component. I hope Triple H maybe makes a phone call to NBC and says, "Hey, get this back on," but who knows?
Yeah, and the interesting thing is they have the warehouse full of stuff to do with like a physical like Hall of Fame where you can they should where you can walk into a building and look at all that cool stuff. They have a ton of it.
Yeah, they have a ton of video footage. They have a ton of they had that A&E show on where they found all that wrestling memorabilia.
Oh, yeah, that was decent.
They probably have a warehouse full of that stuff too that they could open their Hall of Fame, but. What I'm looking forward to, as I'm hoping, is I don't know if you guys watch NWA very much.
I do.
Okay. So with that, I will say that when it first came out back in, I think, 2019 or 2018.
I like the studio aspect.
The studio, yes. That was perfect, right?
Yes.
And they had it on YouTube every week, right? You could watch it and
then they went to Fight, now back on YouTube.
Right. And I'm hoping that kind of gets back to where it was because they had some good talent there. And then when the pandemic hit, everything kind of went to shambles. And it's unfortunate because I think they were really starting to go. Because I went to NWA 70 in Nashville back in 2018. And it was great. It was a great show. They were really friendly. You went into this building and they had all the stars there, Tim Storm, Cody Rhodes, Road Warrior Animal, you name it, Colt Cabana, all those guys were in there, right? Cornette, Tony Schiavone when they were there. They talked to you for a few minutes. They signed their pictures, and it was great. It was a great show, and I just hope to get back to something like that because that's kind of a missing component.
What do you think about the whole CM Punk thing that went down in AEW? Him just coming in and he like a bull in a china shop, and all of a sudden he's out of the scene again because he ruffled a lot of feathers now in AEW.
Yeah, I think, you know, when Punk was in WWE or ECW and all that, I think he was good. He was, kind of on the rise. And then I don't know Punk, I don't want to be disrespectful, but I thought it was a work at first, but I don't think it is, obviously. And you got a second chance to come back and do something for a company. You were the world champion, and then you start ruffling some feathers and irritating some people, if that's really what happened. And you're getting a second chance. I don't want you shouldn't let your personal feelings or your ego or whatever get in the way of that. To me, I mean, you're getting a second chance. You were out of
Totally
out of
agree.
wrestling like 10 years.
Close to it. I think it was like
I
7
mean,
or
yeah,
8.
and he was in UFC for a while, and he got whooped.
That was terrible.
I mean,
Yeah, that was bad.
yeah, he
Unbelievable.
got whooped pretty bad. And again, not knocking the guy. I don't want him like suing me or something if he watches this. So I'm not trying to deface the guy, but I just didn't agree with it, or I didn't agree with his tactics, and so I don't know what he's doing now, sitting on the couch somewhere doing something probably, but yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
unfortunately.
guys, and Brian is getting to know. I am old school, so I
Yeah.
keep up on the product nowadays. Obviously, I know what's going on. I
Yeah.
don't watch a lot of each of it. I do watch the NWA. I like that.
Mhm.
But
But
yeah,
even the old magazine racks, right, Chris? When you go into like a store and like and Brian,
you don't even
agree
see
that the old magazines
wrestling magazines anymore. I mean, it's
before,
sad.
before the internet, right? And then it was just a little bit more pure back then.
Right,
Yeah.
too, right, Brian? Before the internet, we were glued every Saturday.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? What's going to happen on WWF at midnight? What's going to happen on Mid Atlantic and AWA in Florida and all that? Nowadays, with the internet, too, it ruins it.
Yeah, I used to when I was a kid, TBS, Saturday night, WCW Saturday night.
Yes.
I'd watch it every Saturday night, even in high school.
Yeah.
And my friends, make their little comments and stuff. And I'd be like, well, I'll be out later because I'm watching this at home.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we were. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right about the magazines. I used to get, I used to go down to the store. I get the PWI, I get the Inside Wrestling, the Wrestler, Sports Review, Wrestling, whatever they were, right? I mean, I got some back here right now, but
now nothing.
Nothing. And if you do get one, it's all WWE and AEW because they don't do the indies, or I haven't seen it anyways. So
yeah, no.
I used to get that Inside the Ropes, that new magazine that came out a few years ago.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard about that.
So I got the first year subscription.
Yeah.
And it's a big magazine. I mean, it was bigger than the rest of them. But again, they only covered WWE or AEW. So,
and Brian, do you check out any of the independents in your area? Like for here, we have Empire State Wrestling here in the that shows up in the Buffalo area, Niagara Falls area, and also Nickel City Wrestling. Is there any independents out your way that you keep track of or
yes? So actually, I just had a guy on, excuse me, my podcast. His name is Tim Rockwell. He's known as the Natural Born Villain. And he works for Mid-States Wrestling, which is out of Harrison, Arkansas. And they do shows in Harrison and Springfield area, kind of basically southwest Missouri and north Arkansas. And I've been at their shows. It's run by Space Cowboy Jason Jones. And they do a great card. It's usually about 2 hours long. They don't have any, they do it old school. So it's, you go in, you do your match, you come out, next guy comes in. Now they do have a 20-minute intermission, but that's when you go get your popcorn and they come out during the intermission, the wrestlers, and they'll sell their merchandise, talk to you. So I've been going to their shows. They have, like I said, Tim Rockwell is a up and coming rising star. They got a team called Toxic Masculinity. They're known as the Johnnies. Johnny Dynamite and Johnny Lightning.
Nice.
And they are a great tag team. So I hope they're going to be watching this. I'm going to send them the link when it's done. And so they got some props. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
awesome.
and we have New Breed Wrestling, which is out of, I believe, Sedalia, Missouri. And there's some other one, Wrestling for a Cause, which is out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I try to watch those or go to those shows when I can.
Kind of
Springfield's
brings
not
back
that
that
far
old
from my
school
house.
feeling. Yeah,
It
it's like
does.
that old school feeling with the independents, right?
Yeah, right. It's not,
a
old
lot of
school.
glitz and glamour.
Right. It's not glitz and glamour. Now they do their little talking smack for a minute, 1 minute on the mic, and then they start
Yeah.
wrestling.
Yep.
Right.
So yeah, that's
kind of like reminds us when we had Chief Jay Eagle on, and he's still active in the ring, and
Yeah.
they do a
Oh, wow.
card every Saturday night there, and that's great.
I apologize for drinking, but I got my throat's getting a little dry, so I have some water in here. So
Oh, no
my
worries,
apologies.
man.
No worries.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I enjoy those old. I took my grandson this summer. My daughter would not allow me until he was about, well, he's 11 now, but she wouldn't allow me to take him to anything. And so I was like, okay, but finally she did, and he really loved it. So I got another buddy now that I can go to shows
cool.
with.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Very
great.
cool.
But Brian, we want you to tell everybody about Bumps
Yes,
and
sir.
Thumps and promote merchandise and your show.
Okay, so if you don't know, you see it on the screen there. Bumps and Thumps. It's a podcast. It's on YouTube. I've had that YouTube channel for about a year now, a little over.
That's
a year.
where I watch it.
Okay, so I started that about a year ago, and we talk about basically old school wrestling. I've talked to former wrestlers, like I said earlier in the podcast or on the podcast here. I've had I'm also like Ken Patera on here, and excuse me. Sorry, guys. Okay, and so it's about an hour long, and usually I hit them with how they grew up or where they grew up and how they got involved in wrestling, and then we talk for a while, and then like I said, I don't have all the fancy video intro like you do there, John, and all your. I can't do all that. I don't have the smarts.
Oh no,
figure that out.
Well, John's for hire. If you want to.
Oh, please.
I might have to, yeah.
God.
But, and then we
I'm
have
sorry.
Programming.
Yeah, programming, yeah. And we have merch on we have a Teespring store, and we sell T-shirts. I probably can't see it very good. I'll kind of stand up there. We have this.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I got mine on the way.
All right, and we sell merchandise on there, and we have our outlets are all the major podcast outlets. I'm on Anchor. You can we have PayPal, and we do it through all of my stuff is through Anchor, and Anchor is free, so I don't have to pay for somebody to put my podcast out into the world. It just does it for me, which is nice. And like I said, I've been doing it for about 2 years, full on for about a little over a year, just doing it full bore, full time. The hardest part is for me is getting the guests for me, because
I constantly work on it every day.
you're working on it, and I'm not Joe Rogan and these guys that can, if they need to dish out a little bit of cash for these guys to come on, they can do that. I can't. I don't have that.
That's how we are. Yeah, that's how we are.
I
We
can't-
try
I
to.
can't.
Kind of talk about it quickly. Like if it wasn't for us wrestling fans, who would a lot of these people be? And like we had Mr. David Crockett on, and he thanked us for I mean, so
David
that's
Crockett.
great, and that's what we believe. So we agree, Brian.
Yeah.
We're not going to pay somebody like Real quick, a bad inference with from the Fantastics. Bobby Fulton wanted $300 for 15 minutes with us, and I said, "No way."
Hey, we're
And he
broke. We
said,
can't do that shit. Yeah, that's
he said, "I'm not a professional. I don't do anything for free." Well, to me, Brian, and that's like a slap in the face to like George Shire, David Crockett, Mick Karch,
Yeah.
B. Brian Blair, Jumpin'
Yep.
Jim Brunzell, bigger names than him. He kind of slapped in the face to me. And
Yeah.
like even real quick, Mr. Jerry Oates, real nice guy.
Had him on.
He was so pissed off about that when I told
Yep.
him. He goes, "Chris, you want me to call Mike George? You want this one? You want that one?" Mike George called me the next day
Yeah.
and said, "I talked to Jerry Oates. I mean, so
Yeah.
we're in the same boat."
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about networking and
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. If other wrestlers or other wrestling personalities, you have them on and they say, "Hey, do you want to so-and-so?" Yeah. And then it kind of gets around. So for me, I've been pretty fortunate.
And it's not to disparage anybody that asks for money to do it.
No,
if they can get paid to do it, God bless them, but
yeah.
we're
I
just
can't afford to pay 500. One person, I won't mention names, wanted $500 for, a half an hour, and I was, I can't do that. Yeah, I mean, and like you said, Chris, nothing against them. They want to earn a buck if they can get it, great. But some of these guys that you reach out to, you haven't heard from in 30 years.
Yeah,
and they get a little. Well, yeah, and they get a little notoriety because they're at some event, and then all of a sudden they want X amount of dollars. So, but I've been pretty fortunate up to this point. In fact, I'm going to have on here next week James Beard. He's the, James Beard is, he's a promoter.
Yes, we had a chance to talk to
referee.
him. Oh yeah, yep,
Yeah,
great guy.
And he referred us to Mr. Doyle King. We had on the announcer from the Global Wrestling Federation, and he's also referred me to Tim Storm, but because of his, he's so busy that we got to work something out to get him on. But yeah, James Beard is a great guy. In fact, he got us Black Bart, right, guys?
Right. Well, our character Black Bart is, man. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to him, Brian, but you ask him one question.
Do it.
Here's the thing with Black Bart: ask him one question, and he'll carry the show, man. What an entertainer he is.
Yeah, well, I remember him back in the day.
Yeah, he was great. He was great, and
absolutely. Well, Brian, listen, man, I'd love to keep you all morning and talk wrestling, man. But I know you're time sensitive, man. But we want to thank you so much for joining our podcast. Anything that look, for example, right? Smart Man puts at Bumps and Thumps on his name tag there. We got to do that, guys. We got to start doing that. So we learn a few things, I
got the banner behind me at least.
There it is.
Yeah. Hey, in fact, I want you to send me the link for your shirt because I'm gonna buy one.
There you go. That's awesome, man. We appreciate the support.
All right, and I will promote your show. Don't worry, I will.
We're gonna work together. That's what we do.
And I'll promote your show on mine, and I do it for a couple other guys. It's all about working together and getting our shows out there, and camaraderie and having the same goal. We just want to entertain people and get those stories out there. Those wrestlers and personalities from the past that really, to me, and I'll get off my soapbox after this, pave the way for today's guys that are at the, in WWE, AEW, Impact, whatever, Ring of Honor, that get all this cash. I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but those guys that were in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even into the mid 90s that, worked their way up and were getting $500, $600 a show instead of, $10,000 a show or whatever they get. I'm not sure, but I know it's a lot more. So I appreciate you guys having me on. Like I said, first time being a guest on a podcast. So I really, really appreciate it. And if you ever need anything from me, Chris and John and Charlie, just Chris has my number.
Thank you.
Charlie or
We
John has
appreciate it, man.
my email and stuff. You guys just reach out to me, and I'll do whatever I can for you.
Yes,
Thank
sir,
you.
and vice versa, man. Vice versa.
Okay.
We will support you going forward as
Appreciate it.
we do with all of our guests, and we'll be giving you some love on our show, man.
All right, I appreciate it, guys.
All right.
Take
Absolutely,
care.
Brian. You have a
yourselves.
great one, man. Stay
You
warm
too.
out
Thanks. All right.
there. All right, brother. All right, guys, we're gonna do a quick break here. Check in with our sponsors. We got some chic tweets on the other end, and of course the DVD vault that we're gonna roll out that Chris has provided. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
Digits 988 can save a life. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, 988 provides connection to free confidential support. There is hope. The Lifeline works. For 24/7 confidential support, just call, text, or chat 988.
Okay, we are back. Thank you to each and every one of our sponsors here on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast. We are grateful to all of them. And also, again, thank you to Mr. Brian Ferguson from the Bumps and Thumps podcast for joining us today as well to talk some wrestling as we will continue to give him our support. And again, his military background, guys, very commendable for what he's done for our country. So we appreciate you, Brian. But guys, talk about some current wrestling going on. We had mentioned with Brian there a little bit of Bray Wyatt. It's been kind of the talk of wrestling over the past month. There he is, man. Look at that sinister looking mask that he busted out as he made his return at Extreme Rules. If you haven't watched it, if you're a wrestling fan, I'm sure you have. Go online and watch that video of his return. It was it had like that creepiness to it, and then just a huge crowd pop when he took that mask off and revealed. Of course, we all knew it was Bray Wyatt, but he took the mask off and Bray revealed himself finally for the first time in a year and a half. And the crowd went nuts. It was a great, great return. And that production value that WWE brings to the table is still unmatched. I mean, it just, it kind of, the way it happened was, if you watched Extreme Rules, the Riddle and Seth Rollins match wrapped up. They put like that stamp at the bottom, with the copyright stuff. Like it was going off the air, and all of a sudden the lights went out and everything went crazy with Bray Wyatt. Now, last night, he cut a promo, Bray Wyatt did, at the end of the show, where he was just kind of in a shoot, and he was out of character for a little bit, and it got very emotional about his release from WWE over a year and a half ago, and then his return and that warm reception he got from the fans of Philadelphia and then the fans last night at SmackDown. Just kind of went off on his own and talked about the emotions that it brought him. But then in WWE fashion, they cut the show off with that same masked character that John just popped up on the screen real quick. Yeah, he kind of made an appearance on the Titantron there, or whatever they call it now, and was delivering like this weird message, cryptic message, and it cut off the show at that point, and it kind of left you hanging. So I don't know, guys, what did you think about that big return of Bray?
It's great. I love it. That's just
the whole White Rabbit thing to lead up to it and everything.
It was unbelievable. That's what you want. That's what I want. So they got me.
I thought it was cool with the QR code stuff was cool because it had fans guessing at first, and then it became kind of obvious. Okay, that's definitely Bray Wyatt, but people were speculating Malachi Black. So there's a lot of speculation.
You know what, Charlie and Chris, that's kind of the way to make it like it used to be. So there's not so much leaking of stuff. You know what I mean? That kind of gives you that feeling like we might have had before a little bit. Because
that's why we hope Triple H is in the right direction now with the WWE, and then we'll get, they'll get more people to watch it like us if you bring it back that way. Yeah. I mean, and that entrance is second to the Undertaker. I mean, that's great entrances for sure.
Yeah, and it kind of gives like that supernatural element back to WWE that the Undertaker provided, where there'd be a match going on, all of a sudden you hear that gong go off, and then the lights go out. Kind of very similar with Bray Wyatt, but a different aspect of it, or a different perspective, if you will, because he's so creative, and he was a little bit handcuffed by Vince McMahon when Vince was still running things. So Triple H is doing good things, and we talked about it again with Brian Ferguson there. Some of the backstage interactions that we've been seeing on SmackDown and on Raw. It's not just the cookie cutter promos. Now people are getting attacked. If you watch SmackDown last night, for example, Liv Morgan attacked Sonya Deville and was on top of a scaffold backstage and dropped her whole body through a table on top of Sonya Deville, and it was chaos backstage. And I thought it was awesome because that's how it used to be on SmackDown. There would be chaos going on backstage. It would bleed out to the ring, and then they would set up the next match. They've done a great job. Triple H has done a great job so far with that. And then, of course, the DX reunion that they had on Monday Night Raw. And they tried to get a little edgy with the 4 cocks hanging out, and then you'd pan over the camera and there's 4 rubber chickens sitting there. And they say, what are these cocks hanging out for? And Triple H, you can't say that on TV. Then they pan over and then they show the 4 chickens, rubber chickens. So it's getting a little edgier, a little more.
But that was DX, so that kind of went with it, and that was good.
Yeah. And it was very cool, very, very cool. And of course, the Crown Jewel pay-per-view coming up for WWE in Saudi Arabia, the big event there. They've been promoting with Logan Paul challenging for the title. I have a feeling we're going to see a little bit of Bray Wyatt maybe involved in that, because Bray Wyatt was the champion before Roman Reigns. He lost the title to Reigns, and Reigns has held it ever since. So maybe we'll see some Bray Wyatt interference into that Logan Paul match there. And then, of course, AEW, we saw the debut, AEW debut of Renee Paquette, who is the wife of Jon Moxley.
Yes.
She came out to a huge pop on AEW, so it was good to see a familiar face on AEW kind of take over some of the duties from Shivani there. And the only other noteworthy thing from AEW, I mean, there's plenty going on with AEW, of course. Chris Jericho, the Ring of Honor champion, and all that stuff. And Orange Cassidy winning the new All-Atlantic Championship. There's a lot of belts in AEW, though. Hard to keep track of.
Yes, indeed. But, it's great to have competition and, so it's all good. But we got follow our rules here, right, guys? And Charlie, we got Sheik tweets.
We got to check in with the Iron Sheik as we do each and every week here, as we try to keep up with what's on the mind of the Sheikster, if you will. And
let's bring something up here. Hold on. Let's see what I can find. Here we go.
Yeah, there we go. Now he doesn't really go a long time without mentioning Hulk Hogan, and this Bovada website always asks the question that the Sheik is always happy to answer. Name a Hall of Famer who'd be average in 2022. The jabroni Hulk Hogan was always average. Then, now, and forever, Bubba. Now, of course, then, now, and forever is like the WWE theme that they start each show with. So I thought that was pretty funny. Of course, again, that rivalry will never end, man, as long as the Sheik has a say.
Never ends. Let's go here. Hold on. We got something else that you'll like. I guess you guys will like this.
Oh, yeah. Bill's Mafia.
Oh, wow.
showing some love there. Pinto Ron, if you're not familiar with him, that's the guy that gets doused with ketchup and mustard every pregame. And if you watch the Monday night game against the Titans, they kind of they featured that as a part of the pregame show. But Pinto Ron showing some love to the Iron Sheik, and Iron Sheik showing the love right back to Bills Mafia. So we appreciate you, Sheik. Go Bills.
That's cool.
That is nice, though. That is really cool. All right, let's get the next. Let me make sure I don't bring up the same one. I don't think I am. Hold on. Here we go.
Oh, and of course the New York Mets, the Yankees' little brother. Go Yankees!
Yeah.
Also, Mets, you blew it again, Bubba. Go after yourself in the greasy ear. Now, if you don't know what you're referring to, there was a little controversy there. The Padres pitcher had like a little bit of a greasy ear going on there, and it looked like he had some kind of foreign substance, which is of course illegal. But it was all checked out. Everything looked to be on the up and up. He wasn't doing any cheating or anything like that. But the Sheik chimed in and told him to go after himself in the greasy ears to the New York Mets. And I agree with that sentiment.
Me too. I agree. And now he's
That's
here.
great.
We just pissed off a bunch of Mets fans. Sorry about that, guys. But Angela Lansbury unfortunately passed away, and the Sheik wanted to chime in on that as well. He is sad that she has left the earth. I love you forever. Angela Lansbury, if you know Murder, She Wrote, very legendary TV show. So rest in peace to Angela Lansbury, who passed away at the age of 96. So nice long life. Unfortunately, passed away. But the Sheik always in touch with the ongoings of today's world, and we always appreciate the Iron Sheik. So guys, we're gonna jump into the vault here. Are we ready for that?
Yeah, we got 3 classic clips here, as we do mostly each and every week here. These clips are provided by me for my own personal collection. I do not sell them for profit or anything like that. We just enjoy them here on the show and for everybody out there and myself. So, John, I believe we have our first clip of our guest that we had on today, Mr. Brian Ferguson.
Appreciate it, sir. Hey, Brian, it's my pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to be on this episode of Belts and Bucks. Yes.
Okay, Brian here getting a chance to talk with the other Brian, B. Brian Blair, that we got a chance to speak with last week.
Yes, just some quick clips here of there he is with Greg Gagne. Hopefully get Greg on this show.
Oh, we would definitely have some questions for Greg Gagne. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, definitely.
And it just goes to show you guys, as we just started this podcast, just as fans, and Brian himself being a fan, if you kind of go for it and put your mind to it, man, it's doable in 2022 with the technology we have available to get these ladies and gentlemen on the shows to talk some wrestling. And we, Mr. George Shire there, who we appreciate, of course, who's been on our show, and all those guys from the, I know he formerly did the AWA Unleashed podcast, but the guys that are still doing it, we appreciate them as well.
Before George Shire, we saw Baby Doll, and here he's talking to the widow. That was the widow wife of the late Bruiser Brody, Barbara Goodish.
Ah, very good. Very good. Yeah, thank you again to Brian Ferguson.
We have our next clip here,
Yep.
I believe.
Here
John?
we go.
Abdullah the Butcher, and here you can't say that he's overpowered no one.
Here we
No
go,
mistaking
guys.
who that is.
Some rare Andre the Giant footage from different territories. Obviously, a match here with Abdullah the Butcher. Crazy.
Wow.
Oh,
Couple
wow.
of beasts. Look at these two guys, man. Look at the combined weight. Has got to be over 1,000 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
But what? I mean, Andre was all over all the territories, and this is just a little proof of that in some different rare matches that he was in. Here he is from Germany, taking on the former AWA champion back in '82, Mr. Otto Wanz.
Wow.
But then you see here, Andre was, I believe this was '87. So after the heel turn on Andre's playing the heel. And then
Imagine
here
Andre
he is.
doing one of those trust falls.
Here he is in the corner there with the red outfit on, which we'll see a better picture in a minute. Down in the Mexican promotion, the CMLL, in a 6-man tag here with Bam
Bam Bigelow. Yeah. I never seen Andre in red.
Yeah, and that was towards the end of his life there, unfortunately. But here he is, John. against
Yeah.
Baron von Raschke.
Oh wow. Yeah.
This was
Wow,
from
look
the
at
this was from the WWA out of Indianapolis promotion in the 70s.
Very cool.
But just some rare footage of the Giant and different opponents over the years.
Baron von Raschke
Really
gets a
cool.
lot of love on the internet when if you follow the AWA Unleashed fan page, anytime Mick Karch posts Baron von Raschke, man, it gets tons of reactions. He was such a cool looking character, man. It's so likable.
Hopefully, we'll get him on the show one day.
Man, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Hopefully.
And we got one more clip.
All right, last one.
Jackson in the yellow and black trunks, or gold and black. Good standing reverse.
Here we have a little footage of our guest from last week, Mr. B. Brian Blair. And this is out of Georgia Championship Wrestling. What a nice guy and what a long career, huh, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great
I
guy.
felt bad though.
Well,
Was it his doorbell that was ringing last week? I feel bad he couldn't
I
answer
think
the door
so.
when we were talking to him.
Yeah.
If you watch the
Yeah.
interview, you know what we're talking about. But yeah, just a great guy to talk to. Absolutely.
Yeah, and what a career. I mean, here he is, mostly down in Florida there, Championship Wrestling from Florida John, as you remember, here against Jake the Snake Roberts.
Wow, look at that. Yeah, look at jeez.
Wow, which
This
one is
was
Jake
about,
here?
this was about like 82.
Yeah.
Is Roberts in the red there, Chris?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, he looks completely different.
I know, doesn't he? Jeez.
You know.
Well, and here he is
Oh.
against the craziness of Kevin Sullivan in Florida.
Yeah. Our guy.
Oh. Boom, the forearm shiver.
Yeah.
As we hear from the Dean of Wrestling, Gordon Soley. And here he is, the WWF debut, Joe McHugh.
Wow.
Wow, look at
The
that.
ring
huh?
announcer.
Gotta love it, right?
Yeah.
And then here he is with his partner, famed to be Jumpin' Jim.
Great jackets. Look at that.
And then here they are. They were called Mass Confusion in the UWF. This was like 90, 91.
Ah,
Wow.
very cool.
Well, you know, Vince had the copyright probably for the Killer Bees, so they had to come up with a different name.
Yeah, I like it.
But same
Same
outfit.
concept. Yeah.
Yeah, such a long career in the business
Yeah.
and such a great guy. And of course, he will join us in the future as well on this show.
Oh, I
Yeah,
mean, there's so much more we could have asked them too. I mean, we just got to the tip of the iceberg with some of these guys. You know, sometimes like an hour, we could only get to like so many things, but we don't. You know, we'd love to talk to these guys for like 5 or 6 hours.
You're right. I just can't get over that we had both Killer Bees, you know? They're icons. That's unbelievable how big they were. And because I still think it was the Dolphins took it from them. It definitely was. The Miami Dolphins took the Killer Bees and used it for their linebackers. You know, they were called the Killer Bees because they were all beat. But I just thought that's really cool that they were such a huge thing.
Yeah.
Everyone knows. I think you say that everyone knows who they are. If
Yeah.
you say Killer Bees.
But
Yeah.
like, you know, somebody like me also knows B. Brian Blair from there. We just saw from the Territory days too in his career before the Killer Bees.
Right.
But yes.
Yeah, very cool to see these guys at their beginnings, especially like I said with Jake Roberts there. I didn't even recognize him. Definitely when at the start of his career, before the mustache and the long hair, and of course Damien, as we knew him as Jake the
Oh,
Snake.
yeah.
So.
A lot of footage of Jake the Snake from the Territories, Georgia, Mid-South, world class. I mean, yeah, he was all over.
And I assume you have all that footage, right, Chris?
Yes, I do. You know
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes,
Is
sir.
is he still with us, Jake the Snake? Is he still?
Yes, actually,
He
he
is.
accepted
Doing
my
well.
friend request on Facebook, and I sent him a little message.
Oh,
so
boy.
hopefully we'll hear from him.
Wow.
Yeah, we're hoping to get him on. It would be great to talk some wrestling with Jake the Snake, man. That would be
That'd be
a
unbelievable.
big get for us. Absolutely. So guys, we want to check in this week with our. We're going to go to our jobber first here, and then
Yep.
we want to check in on our jobber of the week. And
Hold on.
yeah, take your time there, John. It's all good.
It's
And
the
of
wrong
course,
one.
end sexual violence in the
Yeah,
meantime.
we are for that, of course.
We are for
Absolutely.
that.
All right, hold on. Here we
Don't be
go.
like Kramer and wear your ribbon. Yeah, here we go, Mr. Al Phillips. So now Al Phillips, he didn't have a ton of matches. He had 12 career matches there. He went under Soul Train Phillips as well, and also GI Bro as well. And he hailed out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He did have one win in the WWF, and that was I'm assuming this might have been like a warm up dark match because he wrestled and defeated Lance Diamond,
Yeah.
which was most likely a dark match to kind of maybe test out the ring. But hey, if you get paid for it, why not, right? But Mr. Al Phillips out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, our jobber or enhancement talent of the week. We want to throw some love out his way because, of course, without these guys, the marquee talent, you got to wrestle somebody. So shout out to Al Phillips and what he did, and he got to win, over Lance Diamond, but he got to win anyway, and that counts. It goes in the record book, right? Just the same.
Yeah.
Right. Well, before we get to John there, we would like to thank all of our viewers and
we got one more feature though, Chris. One more.
Got one more feature, Chris. You're forgetting.
You usually got me in check, so this week I got
Ah.
So we want to, of course, part of our new feature here on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast. We want to feature a Falls Count Anywhere match every week, and this one stood out to me as I was looking up some random matches here. This was Cactus Jack, and that's the Stinger who he's got mauled there by the face. That's the old Surfer Stinger. And this took place back in 1992 at Beach Blast. And Mick Foley, as I was looking into this match, Sting ended up winning this match. But if you go back and watch it, it is available on the Peacock Network. There were no mats on the outside. It was just all concrete, and these guys were taking some pretty good bumps. And Cactus Jack, Mick Foley, saying that that was one of his best matches that really got him into like the hardcore aspect of wrestling, because we know Mick Foley has taken barbed wire and thumbtacks and been thrown off of Hell in the Cell, but this, he said, this was kind of the start of it for him. This war, if you will, that he had with Sting, where they just got really physical, and even Stinger said that was one of his better matches as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. Again, that was from the 1992 Beach Blast from WCW. If you get a chance to watch it, it was a pretty fun match. But our Falls Count Anywhere match of the week here on the Falls Count Anywhere podcast. If we're not being too cheesy with doing that, but hey, why not throw that out there?
And, that's great. Great idea.
Absolutely.
Yes. We'll keep it going, right?
Absolutely. Chris, go ahead. Sorry about that, man.
Okay, that's okay. No, my fault. I forgot. But yes, we'd like to thank and appreciate our friends and viewers across all of our platforms. And John brought up our thing here on YouTube. On YouTube, put in the Friends with the Z there, Media Network, and you'll see not just our show, but all of our shows here. John's sports show, Spitballin', and Citizens United and everything. So check us out, subscribe, like us on YouTube. We're also available on our home on Facebook, of course, at Falls Count Anywhere, and on Twitter at Count Anywhere, and also on Spotify. So we thank everybody, appreciate it, and
thanks to those that left the comments too. We pay attention to those and we try to respond or at least acknowledge it. And we thank you to those that left a comment on last week's show. And please keep doing that going forward. We love to hear the feedback. Oh, and one more quick thing here locally, guys. I just wanted to mention December 2nd, be SmackDown is going to be returning. WWE SmackDown is going to be returning to Buffalo. Tickets are currently on sale. And, as we mentioned, Bray Wyatt is now on the SmackDown show. So if you're into what's been going on with, Triple H bringing these guys back and the show that they've been churning out every week now, it's been really good. They will be returning to Buffalo December 2nd. It'll be a little cold, but bundle up and get inside and watch some pro wrestling there on the WWE side of things. So, John, we got any public service we want to throw out there, as we are a show of the people here? We want to provide some helpful information.
Yes, I wanted to bring this week. We'll focus on mental health. It encompasses everything that we do deal with. But mental health, 844-794-3812. They're there every day, 24 hours a day. Christmas, I don't care what holiday it is. You have people standing by right now, waiting to talk to you. Professionals, please give them a call. Anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, anything that's going on, anything that's hurting, that's making you feel terrible. Whatever it is, you can't get out of bed, give that a call, 844-794-3812. They will get you in contact with somebody locally if you like. If not, just stay anonymous and talk to them. When I looked into this number, they will talk to you for hours. If you needed to stay on the phone for 3 hours, they're staying on the phone for 3 hours. So 844-794-3812.
Very, very
That's
good
great.
information. Thank you for that, John. And we're looking forward to our next show as we come up on our 1-year anniversary here for Falls Count Anywhere. And we're hoping to make contact with the maestro of professional wrestling, Papa Stro himself, Mr. Rob Kellum. We look forward to rejoining and catching up with him as we did 1 year ago. He's got a lot going on, so we're looking forward to talking to him and to see what's going on in his world. He's into some horror movies now. He's doing some acting roles, so we're looking forward to speaking with him on that. But gentlemen, have a fantastic week, and I want to throw out a Go Bills, John. I'll even throw out a Go Bears for you. I know they just played Thursday, yeah, but we'll throw that out there anyway.
Go
Just
The
yeah,
Yankees.
go Yankees, go Yankees. Take care of business and go Bills. They got a huge game against the Chiefs. But everybody, thank you for checking out the show, and gentlemen, thank you for another great show as always. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you.
Digits 988